So guys, believe it or not, this channel is now 5 years old. I posted my first video on this channel 5 years ago in 2017 in September. So looking at 5 years of watch related videos. And what I wanted to do was look back and kind of just go through the first video, some of the highlights, talk a little bit about the backstory of some of these videos, answering some of the common questions, and also just maybe doing a little cringing along the way. So the next watch in the collection is, that is going to be the goal of this video. I will say this at the beginning, looking back at some of this and getting some of this ready to go through, I was just thinking about how crazy this journey has been to this point. And I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of you that watch. To be able to do something I love is an absolute treat. I feel blessed. I feel very privileged to do what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Very few people I think have as fulfilling of a life as I do to talk about something that they love every single day. But now let's talk about the first video ever posted on this channel. It was my watch collection video. So let's even listen to myself here. Let's see. Today we are going to be going through my watch collection. So first off, I have to address this. I understand that the watch community gets a bad rap. I mean, I'm all slouched over. I have this very just timid delivery. This is still pretty polished, I think, for 2017 watches. However, I mean, my just delivery was all over the place. I was very, I think, insecure at the time. I didn't let anybody that was in my inner circle know that I was doing this. I almost kind of just decided just to share it because I felt at the time I was very much in my own bubble of not having this passion for watches. There's nobody that I knew, both in my family as well as in my personal life, that enjoyed this as much as I did. So it felt weird to be so into this stuff. So when I saw the feedback for this and we were able to get like 30,000 views in the first month, I was like, wow, like it was almost fulfilling for me because I recognized that like, hey, I belong. I am not this weirdo. I am just somebody that likes this, and I just am wired in a certain way to enjoy this stuff. And I think when you're maybe going throughout your journey, you might notice that as well. I also remember in this video, I think I described my wrist as feminine rather than small. Although it is 40 millimeters, for those who have feminine wrists like me, it might not be the best place to start. People were saying that, like, I mean, I was like a beta male, and it was just like crazy YouTube stuff. People were going crazy, but honestly, the way I was delivering this video, you could tell I definitely did not have much confidence. But I think that really ultimately came down to just being unsure about, what would come of this. And looking at this dude in this video right now, he had no idea what was in store for him. But I remember the thought process behind putting out this video. I just basically turned off my brain and just said, whatever, let's see what happens. Then we're moving along to a couple videos here. This was a crazy experience for me, and that was Vacheron, Constantin, visiting the manufacturer. This was the first time I visited any watch brand in Switzerland, and to start with Vacheron was crazy. They invited me. There was somebody that watched the channel and just said, hey, we'd like to invite you to the manufacturer. And I was like, really? All right, let's do it. So I go there, we shoot a nice video touring the facility. And then the next day I hired a videographer to do an interview with Christian Salmoni. He's the style and heritage director of the brand. He's been with the brand, I think it's pretty much almost as long as I've been alive. So he's a very nice guy, but when you're coming into it for the first time, he's very maybe intimidating because he's very Swiss, he's very well put together, he was wearing a bespoke suit, he's so just well spoken when it comes to the brand. So I just remember being like, okay, gotta kill it tomorrow, gotta kill it. The videographer that I hired, I mean, I'm getting close to the time of actually shooting the video, and he's just not returning any of my calls. So I'm starting to freak out. This is my first time ever meeting the guy, Christian Salmoni, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? And I have the whole Vacheron team just sitting there waiting for me to kind of get ready, and I'm like, okay, maybe he'll call me back. Guy doesn't call me back. So I have to figure it out. So I'm like, hey, just excuse me one moment. So I go run to my hotel, which was thankfully right across the street. So I just went in there, got all the gear that I had, but I didn't have much gear. I had like one camera, I had one mic that I could put on the camera, and then I had one lav mic. I put the lav mic on Christian, and then I had the mic on top of the camera that would capture my audio. So what I would do is I was kind of yelling louder than normal in that video. If you ever go watch that, you'll notice that I'm kind of just yelling and making my questions really concise so people wouldn't notice. Express my gratitude for allowing me to come here and speak to you and get to look at some incredible timepieces. But nobody really noticed. That video had a ton of thumbs up. Everybody liked the close-ups of the watches. Thankfully, I had a macro lens, so I could just get some different stuff. I had no lights, so that one didn't go as planned, but ultimately, it just goes to show, if things aren't going your way, you just gotta make it happen. So nobody thought anything different of it, and it turned out to be a great trip. Next up, we have the Movement documentary. This was right around 2019. So this is when the channel was starting to really grow for the first time. 2018 was just kind of gradual growth. 2019 was where we had a big jump. And the movement documentary, it was a big undertaking for us at the time. It was basically just me and an editor. I remember when we were thinking about doing this, at the time it was all about like so many of these fashion watch brands and there's popping up. So the whole idea was, let's go confront and have this question kind of like Dateline NBC type of interview with movement, because people didn't like them. Nobody liked seeing their ads. So I was like, hey, let's give them a chance to speak. We reached out to movement and they were like, sure, we'd love to be interviewed. And I'm like, wait, guys, you understand this is gonna be a critical interview? And they're like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, come on down. As the date got closer, I think they started to realize what was happening, because we did release a trailer.
Movement co-founders on track to make $80 million this year.
For what I care about in watches, no. I don't think they're good quality. I'm sorry, Jake. And this trailer posted and it got a ton of feedback. People were getting really hyped up. So we're like, okay, yes, we have some time to edit it. At the time, I think it was like 2 weeks that we had to edit the long video. And I'm like, all right, that'll be no problem. We'll get that done. The date gets closer. We get to the final like 24 hours and we're like scurrying to get this thing done. I stayed up for a full day straight, 24 hours straight. We were working on this edit. We post it, it gets 50,000 views in the first day, which was great for the time. When we posted that, I mean, we were probably around like 80,000 subscribers, so to get 50,000 views in the first day was fantastic. I was taking a nap after I posted it, took a nap, got 50,000 views. I wake up later in the day and I recognize, I'm like, oh no. Like all the comments are saying that the audio is bad. Did a blind person edit do the color correcting for this? It's so dark. And I was just so exhausted at the time of posting the video, and I wanted to hit the deadline that I don't think my brain was able to actually recognize it like, hey, this is horrible, or it wasn't to the standard that I wanted it. And it was kind of a bummer because I should have just pushed it back, but then I had to take the first one down, re-upload, and it kind of killed the momentum of the video. It still has over 200,000 views, but that was just a big learning experience. And at the end of the video, I kind of came to the summary and really wanted to just hit the point of the idea that this is kind of silly at the end of the day. It's just a watch. Although their watches are not very good, if somebody's willing to buy them, that's fine. I think they're a good gateway for some people that might have never come into watches other than these Facebook ads. So I give them props to that, but are their watches any good? No, but I do respect them for getting in front of the cameras and being willing to have a conversation.
Good to see you.
They're wonderful.
Yes.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Want to talk some watches? Maybe change it up from the business a little bit?
I love these watches, and they're part of my collection.
Collection. So a big question I get all the time is, how did you get connected with Kevin O'Leary? So this happened after I noticed that Kevin was posting some watch-oriented content. He was talking about his watch collection, and whenever I can see somebody in the public eye talking about watches, I'm like, oh, all right, maybe there's an opportunity here. I was getting hit with these ads that he was coming to Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from. He's gonna do like a speaking engagement here. And I'm like, all right, hey, we have to set something up. So we reached out to someone on his team. We said, hey, if Kevin's into watches and he's coming to Cleveland, we'd love to be able to shoot an episode with him. They responded and said, Kevin loves watches, let's make it work. We came in, got everything set up. As soon as he came in, we had the cameras rolling, made it efficient. That video, it got like 500,000 views in the first few months, and it was a pretty big hit. Then we followed up with a trip down to Miami, and I remember Kevin, after some of these videos, was just like, Teddy, the people can't get enough of this stuff. We need to keep doing it. And I'm like, let's do it. So we just decided to set up a structure where we're just getting together every quarter and we'll just shoot some different watch related content, some for my channel, some for his channel. It's become a big win-win. And I also think our dynamic has gotten very good.
Teddy, you're a grasshopper. I'm gonna show you how to do this.
Watch this, guys. He has his own shtick. I have my own shtick of just kind of being the kind of straight edge type of dude, and he's got his funny Mr. Wonderful vibe.
Teddy, would you like a nice shot of vodka? You would not buy this to tell time with, I can tell you that.
Yeah, because you're holding it upside down right now, just to tell you.
Yeah.
So I think it's a perfect marriage, and Kevin's been a great avenue to do that, and I think he's found the same benefit too on his channel, and being able to have this nice, conversation type of format with the videos we've been able to create.
Teddy, I hate all of them.
You don't like any of them?
No.
You hate all of them?
That orange is hideous.
I used to own that watch before I met you, so that's funny. All right, so we have to talk about Courtney. So Courtney was on the channel a few times in the past. She was a huge supporter of everything that I was doing, but when it came to grilling some watches, she was also very good at that.
That one's cool too, but it's so... It's round.
She has no bias to any watch brand. She'll just say it how it is. People really like these. I don't know if we're ever gonna do another one. We're now engaged, of course, and she has her channel, which is also booming, and very proud of her for it. But Courtney's been a huge supporter of the channel, and of course, myself. Even before starting this channel, she supported me everything I did. I don't think I could have done this without her. A couple other videos during this time, also of similar idea in terms of production. One was going to be RGM. Now, I knew of RGM for quite some time, and I knew I wanted to get out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But once I got to RGM, there was just something very magical that was happening inside the doors there. Talking to Roland, the most magnificent watches being made in the United States are made there. It was great to be able to also showcase, I think, somebody and a company that it represents so much what I love about watchmaking. It's not about the hype, it's not about any of that. It's more of just about the artistry and the craft. And Roland and his team, I think, epitomize this so well. And to do that with a team that's also based in the United States, it was a dream. I love to do it, and I was so happy how that one came together. So there was another video that came out around this time where I looked at the most prized possession that I own, and that is actually not the most expensive watch that I own. It's not anything that's expensive. It's my great-grandfather Kanyo's watch, his Wittenauer. And I did this whole video looking at, explaining my family's backstory, talking about who I'm actually named after, who's my father. My real name is not Teddy. I'm actually named after my great-grandfather Canio, who Americanized his name when he came and immigrated from Italy to the United States around World War I. He had all these grandchildren, and I am the only grandchild of all those grandchildren to pass on the family name alongside my brother. So this watch was gifted to him by all those grandchildren as a thank you, and that watch is now under my ownership. But I did a whole video talking about this, had my father involved. All the music in the video was composed by my father with the London Philharmonic. I mean, it's one of my favorite videos that I've ever made, and it's a special video. It's not about the views there. It's more about just myself and being almost a time capsule for our family, and something that I think allows me to look at what I do on a day-to-day basis in the right context. You know, why you do what you do is just as important about what you do, and this just reminds me of why I do what I do. So the video that I would say I'm the most proud of outside of that would be probably this video talking about the real reason why nobody could buy Rolex Patek AP. This video was made, and I know it might sound crazy, but because I was so tired of answering the question or saying no to people when they asked me, I wanted a video that I could send people when they asked me, hey, can you help me get a Rolex? I didn't know how to answer that question without being rude at times, and I was so fatigued with answering it on social as well as in my inner circle. Like, people would just ask me and just think that I could just get them a Rolex, and I wish I could, but I couldn't. And I have to go out on a limb to get a Rolex for myself. So I made this video trying to just be a mic drop, show everybody like, okay, this is a complicated issue why we can't get these watches at retail prices. So here you go. Here's a 20-minute video getting into the Gilded Age and Thorstein Veblen, talking about Veblen goods, and getting into supply chain, talking about ownership structures for organizations, talking about all the economics at play. This video took off. I believe it's the most views I obtained in one day. I was surprised by that, but I remember how long it just took me to put this together. Our editor Vlad and I, we were on this thing for like a month going back and forth, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm so tired of answering this question. We must do this properly. We must do this properly. And thankfully, we were rewarded for the amount of views. Usually you don't get rewarded when you put this amount of time into it, especially in the watch category, unfortunately. But I was proud of this one, how this one came together. It flowed well, and I think the response was great. And I think it was a good way of breaking down a very complex issue into in a way where I think a lot of people can understand it. So back in 1983, the G-Shock was created. One of the fundamental characteristics of the G-Shock was to be able to withstand shock, specifically a 10-meter fall. But today what we wanted to do is test out how much shock can a G-Shock take. 20 meters, 30 meters, and how are we gonna do this? We got a helicopter. This video I wanted to do for a long time. And I remember when we were talking about, hey, we have to test out G-Shocks. We should like do a test, like how much shock can a G-Shock take? And we were throwing around ideas, and we're talking like, okay, should we drop it from a building? Should we drop it from like a crane? And we were like thinking about all the challenges with all of this. And then we thought about the idea of a helicopter, and I'm like, oh, there's no way we could find a helicopter. My business partner, not even kidding, within 10 minutes, he just calls up a few places and he has a helicopter pilot willing to do this for us. It was insane. So it took like 3 different reschedules to get this completed. It was like 5 cameras. We had a whole crew for the day. It was a lot of stuff. We throwing G-Shocks, throwing everything out. but this was probably one of the most fun videos I've ever been able to capture. I'd love to do more of this. It's just hard to pull things like this off, but this video is just sick and I hope to do more of it in the future. But all right guys, that is all I have for this video. I just wanted to look back at some of the highlights. I didn't want this to be like this self-aggrandizing type of thing, but I wanted to kind of just go down memory lane, look at 5 years, and also just maybe give a little bit more insight into some of these videos. Again, I just wanna thank all you guys. I mean, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this, and I just feel so lucky to be able to be talking about something that I love on a day-to-day basis, and that wouldn't be possible if you guys didn't watch. So I just can't express my gratitude enough for all of you who watch, anybody that buys from TeddyBaldassarre.com. It just allows me to just feel so fulfilled in my life, and I just am excited where this journey has taken me, and I'm excited where it's going to continue to take me in the future. And I just appreciate all you guys for just watching every single day, every single week. I mean, it just means the world to me. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and as always, be well, and I will see you all very soon.